Hello, my name is Elliott Tallerine, and during November of 2025, I went to Honduras with my Uncle Frank, his son Frank Jr., and Jason May, who is my Uncle Frank's son-in-law. Despite that Honduras is one of the poorest countries in Central America, it has beautiful land and very warm people. We traveled to Tegcigalpa, the capital of Honduras, to visit a church body that my Uncle Frank has been walking in the Lord alongside for many years. Many years ago, my Uncle Frank met Oscar, the pastor of the body, and has had a strong relationship with Oscar ever since. Frank Jr. helps manage the support of the Church of Honduras, and he's gone down a couple of times. Jason May used to live in Honduras years ago and has had a great relationship with Oscar and the body. This was my first visit though. When we first arrived in Honduras, Oscar alone didn't pick us up, but his whole family joined him on the journey, and it was such a blessing. It made my whole day to see that the whole family would come to receive us from the airport, despite the long distance from where they live, and it just goes to show how kind and warm-hearted of a people they are. Here we are in Oscar's downstairs. It is of note that many years ago, Oscar's house was just a 10 by 10 space with a dirt floor. And as you can see in these photos, he has now slowly but surely built it up to have 2 floors and a couple of rooms. Here we have just gotten in the car to drive to Chiquite, which is where the church is, but I'll explain more in a little bit. But Tegcigalpa, here's the view from our hotel, and Tegcigalpa is between mountains and typically has very hot weather, but we went and we experienced the better temperatures of the year because it was closer to winter. Here is my first dinner. This is what they would call a typical Honduran plate. Here we are on our way to Chiquite, which is a small village outside of Tegcigalpa where the church is located. Because the date we planned our trip matched up with a baptism the church had planned, we ended up going to a baptism, but first we had stopped in Chiquite. The traffic driving out of the city created a 30-minute delay, and the roads don't have lanes in Tegcigalpa, or probably in the majority of Honduras in general. So drivers move at will on the roads, causing some chaotic congestion at times. After driving a good ways, in this video we were finally exiting the city and heading into the mountains. Here's a picture of Oscar speaking to a worker when we were stuck in traffic on our way to Chiquite. Just for context, it took us nearly 2 hours to reach the church in Chiquite, and Oscar and his family drive this route multiple times a week. We arrived at the church in Chiquite, and because the entire church was so excited about the baptism, they all wanted to go, and the church rented a bus so that the entire body could spend the day at the baptism. And a notable thing to mention is that the church events in Honduras are typically an all-day affair, not just an hour or two. We arrived at the place of the baptism, which was the home of a 92-year-old man named Amado that has cropland that he works himself, as well as a pool he personally built, which is what you'll see was used for the baptism.
So, lo siento porque mi español es no perfecto, so mi giorno Jason conducirá para mí, okay? But look what God has done.
A ver qué Dios ha hecho.
Sí. Gloria a Dios. Oscar Oscar and me, we've been friends for many years.
Oscar y yo hemos estado amigos por muchos años.
And the hard work we see now.
Y el trabajo muy duro que hemos hecho, ya vemos el fruto de Dios de ese trabajo.
Sí. Glenda and Oscar, they've worked for a long time.
Glenda y Oscar han trabajado muchos años.
And now we see the fruit.
Y ya ahora vemos el fruto.
And there's going to be more fruit.
Y van a haber más fruto.
Amén.
God's going to do a lot from Chiquita.
Here we have Yesenia. Here we have Nolvia. Here we have Anais. Here we have Esperanza. Here we have Cynthia. Here we have Fanny. Here we have Chanito. Here we have Oscar and Frank taking a picture with Amado and his wife. Between Frank and I in this photo is Catalina. Amado showed us his crops, and as you can see in this video, he has already harvested corn and is currently growing beans. Like I mentioned, Amado is 92 and has worked very hard on his land, and because of his labor and successful land, he has been able to make his own helpful source of food. I would like to add that those who live in the countryside are poor, just as those in the city, but they can potentially help themselves with crops and supplement their income by growing their own nutrition, which is much harder to do for those who live in the city because they don't have as much land and space. After the baptism, we visited and had a great time of fellowship amongst each other with lunch. This is a clip of Amado's pond that he's planning to put 3,000 tilapia fish in. This is a picture from when we were leaving Amado's house and going back to the bus at the street. Here we just arrived in Chiquita at a bus stop area near the church, and everyone went to their homes. Here we visited the home of one of the men of the church. The man's name is Delmer, and he has walked close alongside Oscar in running the church. On our way back to Oscar's house, we visited an elderly man of the church whose name is Jose Ramon, and he was quite unwell, so we prayed for him. Oscar visits Jose weekly and does his best to help him. If you've never seen Honduran money before, these are called lempiras. This photo and the next photo are two more views of Tegcigalpa from the hotel. This is Sunday morning before church. We took a walk through Chiquita. The following photos and clips are from inside of the church. The church is called Ministerio de la Fuente, and it means Ministry of the Source, or of the Well. Here is a picture of the newly added on children's area. Something worth mentioning is that the people of the church don't have much, and as you saw even in the pictures of us walking down the road in Chiquite, some homes are just shacks, but they still show up to church dressed up nice and ready to praise the Lord, which is a blessing. This is a photo of Chinito, who had to leave shortly after church to go to work. After church, we got lunch with Oscar and Glenda and their family. I'll tell you the names of the ones in their family. On the very right, in the blue shirt, we have Melanie. In the pink shirt, next to Melanie is Dagna. Standing up behind Dagna in the green shirt is Pamela. Oscar and Glenda joined us for breakfast on Monday morning, and we left Monday afternoon. This is a picture from before we left the hotel to the airport. Overall, it was a blessing of a trip to Honduras for both us and those from Honduras. The baptism was a joy to be a part of and witness. Going to the church and seeing their love for the Lord and love for each other and just bonding was also great to see, and their worship was really genuine. We definitely hope to go back soon, and I was not ready to leave, but we have work to do in Houston. We hope to go back soon, and thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a better understanding of Honduras and those in the church in Honduras.